fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Sec's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome to the season finale of Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series Season 12. It's round 6 from the Nürburgring Nordschleife in the endurance format. The difficult, famous, dare I say infamous, Green Hell play host to a championship decider, curving all around the mountainside. It is round 6 of Season 12, as you see. And I'm David Haynes, joined by Jason Fewens here on Simspeed TV. Jason, it's going to come down to survival and strategy, I think.
Yeah, survival is definitely the key. Renowned for a track where a smallest mistake can end your race. So tonight being an enduro race, we haven't got the 2-race split format we've traditionally seen in Skip Barber. So it's going to be a different mindset these drivers have to go into the moment the lights turn green. So it's all about self-preservation, making very smart decisions about where you're going to put the pressure on, where you're going to try and get the pass done, and make sure you do it cleanly.
Industriefahrten means we are just on the Green Hell and not the Grand Prix section, which means we have a interesting, narrow, potentially challenging pit lane that the drivers are going to have to navigate during the race for one required pit stop. It's typical Aussie car style, 2 tyre change required. We're led to believe that we're going to need to take some fuel with that as well. Not because it's necessarily in the race rules, but because otherwise they just wouldn't make it. It's after all an enduro race. This is the championship standings. It's all on the line. Alex McKellar, 450 points, 1 point behind him. John Schultz. Then Cam Dance on 440, Darren Tune there on 420. Got Russell Clark, Sean Doyle, Neil Gardner, Tim Harris, Ben Snell, and Nathan Verney for our top 10. Jason, 1 point first to second. Cam Dance just 10 points adrift. It's a must win.
There's plenty to race for tonight. It's not just the podium spots. Obviously, there's a very, very tight battle from the basically 8th back through to 5th. So there'll be a lot of drivers still striving to get a top 5 result for this season. So the race isn't necessarily going to be up the front of the pack. It could very well be just as well back further deeper in the field.
It's all about that prestige trophy badge and engraving at this time of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, this track's renowned for particularly this last sector. I think this is really where it's going to be won or lost. This championship, there's really, really big long straight leading into that last sector. And if you get the run out of there just right, it can benefit you. But if you get it wrong, it can be all sorts of wrong. So it's going to be a very interesting race here tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing how things pan out. But just like you, we'll have to sit back and see how these drivers handle the conditions tonight, handle the pressure. And of course, only one of them is going to come out victorious at the end of it.
Have you been practicing your German at all?
Guten Tag.
Wunderschön. Herzlich willkommen aus Simspeed. Wiener Schnitzel. Good, I think we got it all covered. Do you know how to ask the locals for a beer?
That I do not. I can count to 10. I did German in school and that was 25 odd years ago, and I think counting to 10 is the only thing I really remember. That and of course how to swear. Because when you're 15, that's probably the most important thing that you learn.
I doubt. I think if you just point at beer and say beer, that suffices. Qualifying is always a tricky ordeal around the Nordschleife. As you can see, pole position is currently Cameron Dance of New Zealand with 8-minute 2.8. You've really, as much as you have to do in any qualifying session around this place, balance that, as they say, risk and reward, because it is an incredibly frustrating thing to get 7 minutes into a lap and go off track or make a mistake.
Yeah, it's a long way back around to make sure that second lap's just as quick and clean as what the first one potentially was going to be. So it's a bit of a battle. I'd personally try and race about 80% here, depending on what part of the track you're in. But these drivers have done enough laps around here, I'm sure, during practice during the week and in the past, that they know exactly what each corner is and how it opens up and what the following corner is going to be. So plenty of track knowledge. And we just see on screen there how tight that little pit lane entry is. That's going to be really, really critical. You can either, we saw last week a couple of drivers get caught out with speed pit lane penalties for entry. So we'll see whether anyone suffices and manages to make it through tonight without too much drama.
Well, that rear left is definitely something interesting for Alex John.
It's a bold strategy.
Thinking, when you were 15, were you learning East or West German?
Don't know, must have been West. I don't know if there's a difference, is there?
No, I was just assuming that might have been before reunification. I was calling you old.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm reading between the lines. And you're not wrong.
So certainly, as always for these Skip Barbers, a lot of angle of attack, a lot of lateral movement and yaw as they try to, especially later on in the stint, navigate the corners. Then also a very significant slipstream effect anywhere that they're up in fifth gear, the tallest of their 5 ratios. That includes several places around this track, not just the long Dottingerhöhe towards the end of the lap. You've got early on in the lap towards Schwedenkreuz and Arenberg. You've got up the hill before the carousel. There's many places that in this Skip Barber you spend an extended amount of time at full throttle, probably just with your mind wandering and considering the impending doom of the next challenging sector.
As we jump on board with Alex John here, you can see exactly how close those barriers are to the left and the right hand side of the track, so very little room for error. You find yourself out on the grass getting a wheel loose and those barriers come up rather quickly. So it's going to be very imperative tonight that these drivers hit their apexes, hit their brake marks, and just keep things under control, because as we mentioned earlier on, the pending result can be fatal for particularly a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Be tempting to look at that points situation and say, okay, whoever finishes on the road ahead between Alex McKellar and John Schultz is champion, but there is still absolutely a chance of Cameron Dance stealing this one if he gets the win, and McKellar or Schultz can't get a clean result and can't finish on the podium with him.
Yeah, we saw just quick how easily it got taken away from him last week with that pit lane penalty. So John Schultz found himself on the podium. I think that's the second time this season he's found himself up on the podium, so I'm sure he'd want to round out the season and the final round with another one, and if that clinches the title for him, that would be even better.
So how's this lap going to be for Alex John? Currently no qualifying time, so he needs something to stick, and it's an 8:17. So I think that was a very, very ginger lap when the first one wasn't valid. Suddenly it was, I really don't want to start at the back on a track like this for the Enduro round, where I'll probably lose a lot of time on the first lap. So this is what the grid will look like for the season finale, the stage set for a champion in Season 12 of Skip Barber Series. Cam Dance is on the pole position for the standing start. Then it's Russell Clark, Alex McKellar in the hunt for a championship. Neil Gardner starting from 4th, then Tim Harris and Dennis Hancock. As you go further down the grid, there's every possibility they start snaking around the curve of the industry layout. So, that change?
Yeah, Dennis Hancock's now in front of Neil Gardner.
Darren Tune arrived somewhere a bit higher up the order there, so I don't know quite how that calculated itself, but then Neil Gardner Tim Harris, Nathan Verney, Jeremy Bush, Vasco Sorofsky. That's your top 12.
Ash Knowles and Alex John out of row number 7. Craig Kerman tonight with John Snell to his right-hand side. Gregory Adams off row number 9. He has Sean McKenzie for company around the midfield. Simon Dobner and Leon Williams there off row number 10. And then we start getting back to the drivers that didn't actually register a qualifying time. That will be, of course, the car of 141 Ben Snell. So keep an eye out for him making his way through the field with his partner in crime, Brody Cook, to his right-hand side. Matthew Harriott off row number 12, and Ira's been missing in action in the last couple of weeks, taking administration roles, so you can ignore his name on the screen.
0% chance of him finishing on the podium today, but I still get the sneaky feeling we're going to talk to him at some point. 6 laps, worked out they're doing a bit over 8 minutes. So if you took maths at the same time you took German, Jason.
We'll call it 7 laps, shall we? Well, it could be 6.
48 minutes or so. Yeah, 48, 50 minutes or so. They're about to get going. Cam Dance is on the pole position somewhere. About there. Revs rise. You can see some of the back of the field are around that corner, but most of them are starting on straight here towards turn number 1. Now Sabina Schmidt's curve in honor of and memory of Sabina Schmitz. And Cam Dance has a very short run down into that plunging downhill turn number 1. Cold tires for everyone, very critical as you immediately go into a very twisty section, the Hudson back, to open up the circuit. I think already there is a bit of drama deeper in the field, but for your championship contenders, Cam Dance, Alex McKellar and John Schultz, they're away cleanly, and that is an absolute must for them.
Yeah, that was their first box tick. They got away out through the first couple of corners. They've all fallen into single file now, so at this stage they will be working on getting their tyre temperature up to a working condition, so they'll give themselves a bit more confidence in exactly what the car is going to do. So normally it takes a lap and a half or so in these cars, but of course a lap and a half here tonight will be in excess of 14 minutes. So by the time they get through the second sector, I think the cars and the tyres should be up to temperature, and that's when we should really start to see a bit of action happening.
So they've gone through Flugplatz. Now the slipstream in full effect. You go downhill briefly, picks up a lot of speed, makes the slipstream important, and then the track rises up a little bit. You can close the drivers all together into this corner across the crest, where it is tough to go side by side, then a big braking zone immediately after at Arenberg. You can see your top 6 still all together. Leon Williams, Darren Lesueur dropped back a little bit off the tail of the field. I think they might have encountered some problems in the opening sector. Russell Clark is the maybe the attack dog for John Schultz in this race. Team players
getting
in
a
green.
little bit squirrely there in the background. We see, I think that might have been Sean Doyle. Manages to get things back under control. He's still on the back of this little pack in front, which is exactly where he wants to be. Currently sitting in 5th on the grid. So where he started and qualified, he is still on track at the moment. There's a little bit of carnage back in the field. Looks like one of the Ozicar cars or Skip Barbers out there. That's Sean McKenzie, still circulating, but certainly a big puff of smoke and a near miss there for the right-hand barrier.
Okay. First off, Ben Snell. Oh, he's lost a lot. And cold tires across the crest, gets away from him. Gets an 8 from the German judge. Sean McKenzie. Wow. A little miraculous. Oh no. Did we go to him on the live pictures and he's in the barrier? That is the case for Sean McKenzie.
So the action's still happening up front. The top 6 clear breakaway as 7th just comes into your view then. So it's Cam Dance, Russell Clark, Alex McKellar, John Schultz, Sean Doyle and Darren Tune there, I think, making the top 6 at the moment. A little bit of drama further back again in the field. Very difficult to turn around here, as we made mention earlier on. Very, very tight circuit. Got to make sure there's no one coming, because it's going to take a bit of an Austin Powers to turn around and face the right direction again.
This is how at Verseifen, which is a German word that means something just tags that Armco, so I think you won't actually have too much damage. Often when you get yourself in trouble in that section of track, it's very narrow, it tightens quickly, the track drops downhill right as you're braking and turning in, and you get yourself into a lot of trouble. This is then about to go through Kesselchen and flick uphill. As they navigate right now, the slipstream is super, super strong here, and look at third place, just trying to hang out of it. Russell Clark, though, is going to go to the lead. McKellar didn't want to run right up to the back of this pair and then get stuck behind them. So he gave himself a little bit of breathing space, a bit of couple car lengths spare. I think you saw Doyle and Tune swap in the background. So it's almost just top four together. Clark from Dance, from McKellar, from John Schultz. Russell Clark, the only one then, not in that mathematical contention for the title. Calculators are going to have smoke pouring out of them later on in this race as we try to work out who would be champion if they finished in this order. The answer, probably McKellar at the moment.
Yeah, very tight, ran through the little carousel there. We're taking the low line. There is two lines through there, but traditionally the low line's a quicker way through. So the top four there following the leader. No one taking the gamble and sticking out wide there to try and get a better run out of that world famous part of the circuit. But definitely the top four made a bit of a break here, and even looks like Schultz there just might be lagging on the back of McKellar a little bit. So you're going to have to work hard to make sure he stays in that draft, and particularly this last couple of sectors coming up in this lap. It's going to be a great opportunity for him to claw back onto the group in front.
Vipperman, 4 apexes, downhill. Just got to breathe out of the throttle, maybe touch the brakes a little bit to get some rotation through there. And then this next group, because as is often the case, hack racing, passing is difficult through the twisty bits, then you've got to wait for the long straights and the slipstream. Neil Gardner is at the front of this one in 7th, and then Sean Doyle's teammate Dennis Hancock. We've got double locked on from Tim Harris and Nathan Verney. Make that a triple with Jeremy Bush as well. Vasco Sorofsky on the tail of that. Triple locked on is what I would do if I was mountain climbing, and I'd make sure all my carabiners are correct.
So very little separating this group here at the moment. All very hungry to play this scenario out, but a little bit of teamwork here with these locked on cars, of course, going to happen. Too early in the race to make any silly decisions and big mistakes at the moment, so a little bit of mind games playing at the moment because nobody wants to lead, particularly going into this last straight, because obviously slipstream is going to play a large part, as we mentioned earlier, in this final sector, and we'll see very shortly, particularly with the guys up the front, just how critical it's going to be.
Almost a lap in the book, but you've got to navigate where you're going to want to have your cameras pointed come lap 6 of this race, I think. Very, very long, high-speed run. Whatever car you take here, you basically always hit VMAX, and that means so long as there is gear left, the driver behind will catch you, probably slingshot past you. Cam Dance back to the lead. Russell Clark drops into the slipstream, and immediately you can get this double, sometimes triple slingshot effect here. All the while, though, McKellar and Schultz are closing up. This brings your top 4 together. Aaron Toon and Sean Doyle a bit too far back to get on the slipstream. We've had 1, we've had 2. Are we going to have 3? I think it's a little too early in the race for that. But what do I know? They're 3 wide, a bit further back, by the way. That would be Dennis Hancock, Nathan Verney, and Tim Harris. Just to get to it, the sensible thing happens, and they decide they're not going to go 3 wide underneath the bridge and towards Tiergarten to close out the lap.
Yeah, I'm sure if Peter Wilkinson's sitting back watching, he'll be pulling his hair out. It is 3 drivers going 3 wide, but they fall back into single file with this sequence of left-right switchbacks to complete lap number 1. You see the pit entry there on the right-hand side. But the leaders are already completed lap number 1 there around Spin Curve and well and truly into lap number 2. Nice little battle a little bit further back in the field here for 10, 11, 12, and Vasco making his dive into the pits. Sorry, Gregory Adams from 18th.
I did learn a little bit more German just there. Street's ice cream is called something else in German, and it's written right above the pit stall, so maybe you can get some refreshments there too. We're seeing, well, this is Ash Knowles in the final corner towards Sabina Schmidt's curve. Oh, does he just tag the Armco of the pit exit there as he tries to open up the entry into turn 1, which is a commonly done thing?
He's going to have to be pretty careful here as he reverses back onto the track to get the thing pointed in the right way. Let's jump on board. That's exactly what he's done. Just clipped it there on the right-hand side on the pit exit and found himself facing hard right across the track.
Found some German tongue twisters. Number 1 German tongue twister on this website is Fisches Fritze fischt frische Fische, frische Fische fischt Fisches Fritze, which means Fritz the fisherman's son fishes for fresh fish fishes fresh. Fritz the fisherman's son. So I messed it up in English. So that's one we can practice for if we ever come back here.
Lock it in. I'll put that in my my vocabulary, and I'm sure it'll come in handy one day.
So, clumping like some sauerkraut in the race here. Oh, synchronized tail slaps out of locked on iRacing, but oh, it keeps going for poor Dennis Hancock as well. That is such a difficult section for these cars. You come over the crest there, the car gets light right as you're turning. You're often off throttle, in combination off throttle oversteer. The crest, it can get away from you. We'll take another look at it. At first, the locked on guy's purely in step. Then Dennis Hancock gets out of shape too.
Yeah, it looked like he managed to avoid it, but then that rear
on the grass,
hey, just got up on the curb on the grass there, a little bit of throttle, and around she went. So just highlights just how easily things can go pear-shaped here. Managing to keep it off the wall though, that was the most important thing, and avoiding the oncoming traffic. So we are halfway through lap number 2. We've seen plenty of carnage, plenty of action, and a few little hiccups and spills from a few drivers, but nothing detrimental or terminal at this stage. I think we've still got all our drivers out on track circulating at this point of the race.
Brautkleid bleibt Brautkleid und Blaukraut bleibt Blaukraut. That's not much of a tongue twister. Okay. You're not closing that website. Done with it. Still close up front with your top 4. Russell Clark playing a little bit of a spoiler effect here. And I would be thinking, in this situation and in this race, what can I do to help John Schultz? But whether Russell Clark is such a generous chap will remain to be seen. Even closer than they were a lap before. Is the slingshot going to help Darren Toon and Sean Doyle catch the 4 in front, or is it going to hinder them? I think it's all about, is the move completed by the time they get to the next turn, and it is. Doyle still turns in a little shallow to the commitment curve at the top of the hill. Darren Toon right behind him.
Top 4 made a bit of a breakaway at the moment. There's a good 2-second gap back to Doyle and Toon there at the moment after a lap and a half of racing. But again, if these guys start tripping over each other at the front of the race, the following group can find themselves within a sniff and a whisker rather quickly. Skip Barbers look like they're almost bottoming out there at the change of direction at the back of the carousel. Not a lot of ground clearance underneath these things, so she's a very, very rough ride, hard suspension. And they absorb these bumps and these little intricacies of the track.
Matthew Harriott started at the very, very back of the grid with no qualifying time, I believe. Now up into 13th, so maybe a bit of a Ringmeister, a Nordschleife specialist with Dennis Hancock and Brody Cook in tow. Brody Cook also a driver with no qualifying time there. It did prove quite a tough qualifying session, I think. This is a holding pattern for your top 4 until they pit. When will they pit? And if you don't pit with the guy in front, you've got to wait a long, long time to react around here. So is it lap 3? Is it lap 4? There's probably only a couple of options given you're not stopping first lap or last lap, and it's only a 6-lap race.
Yeah, pit window obviously not as wide as what we're used to here, so as soon as one of these drivers up the front's going to blink, you can expect to see the following drivers all follow suit and dive into pit lane as well. May be won or lost in pit lane, depending on whether these drivers have actually practiced the pit entry or not. So just a few of them might have after last week's little debacle, so it's obviously not the way they wanted to end their race. A couple of them lost podium positions, so they'll be keen to rectify themselves tonight and put themselves back up in a points haul.
This is a very self-policing pit entry here, isn't it? There's no black flags for an unsafe pit entry. There's just Armco, and if you hit the Armco, well, they'll know you've done goofed.
So Jeremy Bush and Alex John on screen at the moment, 10th and 11th. Very, very little separating these two. Alex John looking pretty hungry to get past, but it's not an easy task to accomplish around here because once you get off that racing line, you pretty much make yourself vulnerable at the next corner and change your direction. So everything sits standing as it was last lap at this point, but it looks like we have a change for position here at the back end of the podium.
They all close up, fan out on the straight. 3 wide if you don't mind, and I think John Schultz is going to the lead. Kind of got to single file it a little bit by the time you make that left kink underneath the Bill Stein bridge. Who is Bill Stein and why does he make such great suspension? There's a pit lane call for McKellar. What has he done? I heard something. I hope he kept that one off the Armco and he makes it to pit lane. Interesting tribune above there. Doesn't have to go to the fuel pump there. Uphill pit lane. How was the pit entry though? Or was it Russell Clark? Indeed it was. Yeah, that's
Just an
Armco.
absolute kiss there on the right-hand side, wasn't it? Just enough to rub the branding off the right-hand side of the tyre.
I've got a pit lane service time of 10 seconds. I've got 10 seconds of service, which is a little on the short side. A couple more pit callers though. Brody Cook, Ash Knowles, Craig Kerman, Simon Dobner. So that's still 1 lap short of the halfway point. Up front though, that's put a bit of space between Danson Schultz and Alex McKellar. I think if these 3 are the 3 on the podium, McKellar's got to be in front of Schultz to be champion.
Yeah, McKellar just dropping back a little bit at the moment, 1.4 seconds off the group in front, so that puts him out of draft range. So he is going to have to pull something out of the bag in the next couple of corners to try and reel that back in, or it's going to be a pretty lonely race trying to catch the guys in front, because Dance and Schultz no doubt will be willing to work together. On saying that though, they are fighting for 2nd and 3rd in the championship themselves, so plenty to play for. A little bit of cooperation, but also some mind games happening in the background as well, I think.
brief moment there, McKellar was almost creating a bridge between himself and Sean Doyle and Darren Tune. I think McKellar's kind of lost touch with the top two, and these haven't quite caught his slipstream. So he's in that no man's land there, is Alex McKellar. Which I think is pretty tough for him, because he is fighting Schultz for this championship. He needs to finish ahead of Schultz on the road. And the longer this goes on, the more time he loses to the top two, the harder it's going to be for him to catch that back up through the pit stops.
Yeah, it might almost be beneficial for him to drop back, maybe a couple of tenths, get that Doyle and Tune train happening, and then work together to try and for the three of them to claw back in front. But of course, it's a very risky little gamble to take.
The Tune train?
Oh, very good. Very good. I didn't even pick that up. That was an opportunity missed.
Yeah, and someone's going to ping us on Discord and be like, finally, some reaction out of Jason Fewens. That's what the people have been begging for.
Got Kimi Räikkönen face on. It's hard to get a reaction.
I think you've owned less yachts. So a lot of pairs of drivers up and down the field. This is up the field. Schultz and Dance side by side going uphill.
Exactly what McKellar wants to see.
Yeah. Tune's slipstreams past there as well. You've also got Swarovski and Gardner. This is like replays with different colours here. I think Gardner's got that one. And then next, Bush and Nathan Verney. Now, Nathan Verney and Jeremy Bush. Got Dennis Hancock and Matthew Harriet a little further apart, but still close enough.
And of course, Alex John and Snell in the background there as well, separated by absolutely milliseconds. But up the front, make our way around. We are halfway around for lap number 3 already. That little gap back to McKellar hasn't succumbed. In fact, it's actually grown out a little bit further. So that was that draft effect taking priority through that last fast section there, and you just see McKellar dropping back probably another 2 or 3 tenths, which almost puts things out of reach at this point of the race.
I think there's a scenario where it could be to Cam Dance's benefit to back them up, but it's no way at all of any benefit to John Schultz to back this up. So I think Schultz is going to go hammer and tongs. Got to compare where they are to Russell Clark. 22.4 seconds. Bush is in the Armco. He's following very closely behind his teammate of Nathan Verney. He's just had a little problem through what I consider to be one of the most difficult sections of the track, because the corners just keep coming, and the elevation change pretty noticeable through this part of the lap as well, from about carousel all the way through till you're on the Dottingerhoek.
Yeah, a bit of a change of direction there. Obviously running a little bit wide, getting up on those curbs, and they are quite perilous. Particularly, as we mentioned before, the low ground clearance on these cars. Once you get up onto these ripple strips, it's almost like it's a slingshot. You can't get the rubber down onto the ground, and you're just a passenger, which is exactly what we saw happen then.
These are your leaders, still yet to make their pit stop. Approaching the halfway point of the race when they round out this lap. It'll be 3 of 6 completed. Will they react to the early pit stop from Russell Clark, or have they got another lap in them? Will there be another split on the strategy? I think this is where it then becomes difficult for John Schultz, because if you were behind Cam Dance, you can just react to whatever he does. But if you let Dance get separated from you, I think that's when you could be in danger.
Yeah, I think Schultz is actually going to relinquish the lead here, not by choice, but just simply through the draft that Dance has. So he uses that to his absolute advantage here, pulls out of the slipstream to the right-hand side. We have seen the double draft take effect, but if I was Schultz at the moment, I'd be just quite content sit in the draft of Cam Dance and see how exactly he plans on playing things out. That's not how Schultz wants to play it, though. He takes that dive to the right-hand side and looks for an opportunity to get his nose back in front.
Cam Dance doing 194 kilometres an hour. Sean Doyle briefly up at 203, so a lot of speed to be had from that good slingshot. And once again, I think at this point in the race, Cam Dance has got him where he wants him, because if Schultz passes by the pit lane, Dance can pit in, or vice versa. Pit entry just on the right here, and
right on cue.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen this from the Dance Mania a couple times before. He gets followed in by Alex McKellar. Yes.
Now, the plan and the philosophy is all good in theory, but it's going to be very, very critical to see exactly who they come out with in regards to traffic further back down the field. So if they've got someone they can work with, we look back down through the field, and McKellar's a little way further back in 17th, some almost 20 seconds off what the lead was. Russell Clark they're going through as well. So that probably didn't work out too bad for McKellar. Dance is still out in front by that little gap that he had before the pit sequence, but more importantly, it's left Schultz out 3 seconds clear of anybody else. Whoa, that's exceeding track limits and exploring the grass.
Absolutely lucky to get away with that one. So, McKellar and Clark reunited, but with Cam Dance noticeably still up the road from them. The real consideration, I think, for these is, where is John Schultz going to work out when he makes his stop? Side by side up the hill towards Flugplatz. Oh, guys, this is going to cost them both a lot of time.
So Tim Harris making the most of this little battle in front as well. So don't count him out, because he's having an absolute ripper of a race at the moment. Finds himself on the back of this little battle, showing some good speed, and of course might be an opportunity to save himself a little bit of fuel.
I think this is Russell Clark playing that team game, because this is hurting McKellar. Neither of them are going to catch Cam Dance. What might happen is that going long with all that clean air on his nose for John Schultz is quicker than McKellar having a battle side by side through Flugplatz, through Arenberg, etc.
Can you confirm whether Tim Harris is actually pitted or not?
He has not.
He has not. So
Neither has Nathan Verney immediately behind. And Jeremy Bush somehow still continuing, despite that pretty hefty whack to the Armco that we saw.
So we see on our screen now the pit stop sequence. So Cam Dance, the leading car on track at the moment, who has actually pitted. So those in front, Schultz, Doyle, Tune, Zorowski, Gardner, yet to pit. So I'm predicting that they potentially will have to do it this time round, because they may be getting pretty low on their fuel count, which will of course leave us with a 2-lap sprint towards the checkered flag, which of course exactly what we want to see. Nice close racing between some of these drivers to round out what has been a world-class World Tour Championship.
We had the gap Russell Clark to Cam Dance before their pit stops. It's even less right now, Schultz to Dance. So your lead car to have pitted, Cam Dance, to overall leader John Schultz, is not 22 or 24 seconds, it's 19 and a half. Dance might even, depending on how he gets here, be able to slingshot by Neil Gardner or Vasco Sorowski as well. So, interesting things to happen.
Yeah, of course, Gardner and Sorowski, no slouch behind the wheel, so they are capable of putting in some good lap times and showing real good speed, as we've seen throughout the rest of the season. So it's not like he's actually been held up by anyone in front, though that draft that they're creating will be used to full effect by Dance to maximise that potential gap that he's got over Schultz at the end of the lap.
It's all that where he catches him, methinks. Clark looking to still lead McKellar. Neil Gardner is not going to impede Cam Dance at all, which is pretty important for his chance of the win.
So there's Vernie that's actually lashed onto the back of this little battle as well. So he's actually put in a couple of good sectors to find himself on the back of Timothy Harris. So more good speed there by Vernie. We jump on board now and actually look over his right-hand shoulder. Just see the undulation and the change of direction there in the track, which gives you a pretty good idea exactly what the drivers are seeing from inside their cockpit. But he is as close as he probably wants to get to teammate in front, Tim Harris, without causing himself too many dramas and, of course, blocking the apex of the corners. It's a bit of a fine line that you've actually got to judge these things, because you get too close, you miss the braking zone, and all of a sudden the apex is well to your left or right.
Cam Dance now up towards Vasco Sorofsky. John Schultz probably pitting at the end of this one. In fact, I'd wager everyone who hasn't stopped yet probably has to. The regulations. I want one of those motorhomes beside the track here.
Aerodynamic as a brick, but doesn't matter what it looks like. It depends on where it's parked, I guess, doesn't it?
That's a great metaphor for life.
I don't know, the Germans have been pretty busy with the chalk there on the track, haven't they?
Yeah, indeed. There's some famous bits, particularly on the Dottinger Her, that appeared in some Porsche press photos. Probably should have checked the translation of that word from English to German before they put it in the press pack.
Well, as far as PR goes, it definitely worked, because it got shared around like wildfire, didn't it?
So race leader John Schultz is on the Dottinger Her, 3 seconds clear of Sean Doyle and Darren Tune. This is going to be good to watch, actually. Tune from 7/10 back is really going to hook that slipstream. Again, VMAX about 197, 198 kilometers an hour for these cars. Doyle has topped out. Darren Tune has 7-8 kilometers an hour of an advantage. That's not walking it, that's jogging the gap down, and he shoots past. And I think from 7/10 back or so, he's not going to get past back again. Whereas if you come onto the straight 3/10 behind, go past, then you're liable to get past back once more. Similar thing happening for McKellar and Clark, although that was pretty gutsy from Doyle. He does get that spot back. Schultzy, where are you?
Big green flash into the pits. Doyle's going on for another lap. Courageous.
Well, that's different to how I was counting it, and I can count to 6 on my fingers. So I back my maths a little harder on that one.
Count to 5 and just guess the rest.
Handful of more drivers. Also Clark for a second time, my goodness. Tim Harris, Nathan Verney, Vasco Sorofsky, Jeremy Bush, all the regular suspects that it's expected that hadn't stopped yet. Stopping now at the end of lap 4.
So of course that makes Clark pit on lap 2 and again on lap number 5. So our leader on track, Sean Doyle, is putting in the fastest lap of the race. So while he's carrying good momentum and a good rhythm, he's obviously decided to stay out for a little bit longer. Putting in a lap of 8 minutes 3.774. So that little bit of draft that he got on the back end of Darren Toon in the dying section of that lap, obviously paying dividend. And Sean feeling very, very comfortable out there at the moment. So his number one fan at the moment, I'm sure, sitting on the edge of her seat, cheering on her son out there in the virtual world at the moment. Cheering, yelling at the coverage brought to you here on Simspeed TV.
It's a lot better than cheering for your virtual son in the real world. That's if anything, a little sadder.
That could play out either way, I guess, couldn't it?
So the only drivers who have not stopped yet, Sean Doyle, Neil Gardner, and Leon Williams. Braden Martin, one-time race winner in Ozicar Skip Barber Series, that he'll remind you, pops into the YouTube chat to say his understanding of the rules is that Doyle and Gardner might be headed for a penalty. That was my understanding of the rules too. We'll wait and see. I wouldn't have left it to the last lap. It's not homework. But championship picture, Cam Dance, highest running car to have stopped. A little bit of time in his pocket, 2.5 seconds to John Schultz. Then Darren Toon, really good pit stop there that he's leaped. McKellar and Clark going long has done well for Darren Toon. He could shake out with a podium here. But if they finish in the order that they run at the moment of the cars that have made their pit stops, I feel like this championship goes to John Schultz.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Of course, the Toon sitting in front of McKellar is exactly the last thing McKellar wants to see.
As long as he finishes ahead of McKellar and doesn't lose 10 points to Cam Dance, he'd end the season with the most points, and that's the person to whom the trophy goes. Little bonus points on offer as well for fastest lap for 0 incident points. Well, Schultz still possible to get the bonus point for 0 incidents. For McKellar, it is no longer possible. So that could even end up being a little bit of a tie break here. I think the delta between second and third or third and fourth is more than 1 point.
We look at car 73. This is McKellar on the back of 191. Darren Toon running wide, just leaving the door open, and McKellar doesn't need to be asked twice to slip through and take that position back. So that could be a very pivotal move from McKellar and a little mistake from Toon. So as we were just saying, those every single point here at the moment in this championship is up for grabs and as vital as it has been all season. So a little bit of a gap now to Schultz down the road, but more importantly, it's one less car taking away points.
Dance past Neil Gardner, who hadn't made his compulsory pit stop yet. There is Schultz, Keller and Toon. So tempting to just get a bit of the grass in that fast corner there on the exit. And I've hit the Armco on the right, I've hit the Armco on the left, hit the Armco on the right, and then the one on the left.
Yeah, very easy to ping pong from the left to the right there through that section of the track, particularly if you get one wheel off on the grass through that sweeping left-hand corner, because the speed that you carry, very, very hard to pull up over the next couple of sequence of corners. Quite rough and bumpy, really, really highlighting just how difficult it is to get that car turned through there and carry the speed without losing too much momentum.
Here's Doyle leading the way, as you can tell from the graphic. No pit stop. Same for Gardner. Everyone else has made theirs. there has been, in past, in my entirely unprofessional opinion, some rather questionable interpretations on the you can't pit on the last lap rule.
Well, technically, you're not pitting on the last lap because you're pitting on the second to last because you enter the pit lane prior to starting the last lap.
This is where I have disagreed with the interpretation as well, but as he qualified 5th, Sean Doyle's pit stall is going to be beyond the start-finish line, and he will, quote-unquote, pit on the final lap. So take a look.
This is lap 38 gate all over again.
Yeah. They are nasty, nasty curves all around here. Almost everywhere you don't want to run up on them. Just a few little places you get away with it, like Zipperman, like the exit of Bravery Corner there. Very, very few others where you gain much, if anything, from going near the striped red and white Boulderbergs.
So as we come down past Nürburg Castle on the right-hand side, we have Doyle out front. We are expecting him to pit, obviously, leading into the last lap. He's currently 15 seconds ahead of Cam Dance, who is surely taking the lead. And if things play out without too many dramas, Doyle should slip back into roughly 5th on the field, with Tune and McKellar for company. This little battle we see happening in front of us as we speak. Actually, probably pull in the 4th because Gardner's got to pit in as well.
And Doyle is in pit lane, and he is past the control line, and he is not in his pit box until now. Make of that information what you will, however you read a rule book for pitting on the last lap. I'm doing some incredibly aggressive air quotes right now.
We might have to get Michael Massey's opinion on that.
It's called a pit stop, Jason. We went pit service. And out of the pit lane goes Sean Doyle. He's 5th on the track. Cam Dance into the lead. John Schultz in 2nd. Alex McKellar 3rd. Darren Tune 4th.
Sorry, I should have put on my Austrian/German accent before I said that. Right, Neil Gardner.
No, Sean, no, this is so not right.
That's going to live on forever. I think it's going to be... The F1 community is not going to let that go in any time soon. So Cam Dance out the front at the moment, a lone soldier leading this field, 3.4 seconds ahead of Schultz. So leading into this race, 10 points behind 2nd place in the championship. So I don't think, as you made allude to earlier, the difference between 1st and 2nd is going to be 10 points. Schultz still eligible for that bonus point. I'm sure that's playing on his mind, and he might be just driving at 9.5 tenths instead of 10 tenths to keep that up his sleeve, because it could very well just be the clincher and the nail in the coffin to secure this championship. McKellar still in battle with Tune, 8 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, I think this goes the way of Schultz. If they finish the way that they run at the moment, there's no way Dance pulls more than 10 points out of Schultz if Schultz is 2nd, right? So then Schultz keeps his lead over McKellar and becomes an Aussie car champion. Racing like it's the last day of school, because it is the last lap of the race of the season for Harris and Gardner and Verney. And Gardner has rejoined the race right smack bang in the middle of this duo. He is sandwiched.
Those tyres screaming out for a little bit of relief as they sweep through that left-hand corner there. It's Harris pushing to the limits. Gardner there in his slipstream, and of course Verney making up the back end of the locked-on sandwich there with Gardner stuck in the middle, nowhere to go.
will be brave from Vernie if he manages to go around the outside here. Yeah, didn't quite think that was happening. A lot of camping at the top here in this section. Just like I've got myself a campsite for the Bathurst 12-hour. Not quite as 20 kilometres long as this layout of the Nordschleife.
So as we sit on track at the moment, if we're talking Schultz, hypothetically is going to walk away with this championship. The difference between Dance in first and McKellar was 10 points at the start of the season. So this really could potentially be a battle for second and third as well, particularly if Dance has that bonus point up his sleeve. He holds that fastest lap out there on the circuit at the moment, but this is the last lap of the season and it's all out for grabs at the moment. So there's potentially someone in draft further back in the field who could take that bonus point away from him. But at the moment, sitting 4.5 seconds clear, he's doing everything he can and everything he needs to at this point to end this little 6-week championship with a win and top step on the podium.
Jay Kennedy, our producer, coming in with the points table, where it's 100 for the win, 96 for second, with one bonus lap for the fastest lap, one bonus lap for the pole. Okay, Cam Dance has got both of them at the moment. So 4 points swing to Schultz, plus another 2 there. I think even without any of these bonuses, so long as Schultz finishes second, he's got this bagged. However the cards fall, it's going to be very, very close, and another close championship in Ozicar Skip Barber Series. But for John Schultz, it would be an inaugural championship, which we love to see.
Yeah, Cam Dance being a previous winner, McKellar being a previous winner, so John Schultz will no doubt be pretty keen to get his name engraved on that perpetual trophy. Join a great list of other names like Chastanoff, of course Clark, and Alex John in the past, also winners in Ozicar Skip Barber.
Final lap of the race. Who is in place to move some spots down the Dottinghur? I think McKellar and Tune could be one to watch. The Harris-Verney-Gardner fight carries on too, and Alex John Vasco-Sarovsky. I was hoping for Matthew Harriet to maybe catch Dennis Hancock on this lap, but it hasn't happened. Matthew Harriet, though, if he finishes in 13th, will be the biggest mover in this race from no qualifying position up into 13th.
Yeah, on a track that's not easy to pass and renowned for great consequences, that's a pretty good effort from Harriet there.
It's a pretty good effort. We've still got 21 cars running from 23 starters too. 24 starters potentially.
Oh, off on the grass there, going a little bit wide.
Call the breakdown van. The Chun Chun train is off the tracks. There you go. Jason Field's right back in form. And Dance.
Chirp, chirp.
What sound does a tumbleweed make too? Cam Dance on the Dottinghur for the final time this race and the final time this season. That's the sound he's going to hear as the wind whistles around his helmet at 200 kilometers an hour for the kilometer and something run down the Dottinghur. It's funny, you know, you never see them all in the same shot until on the Dottinghur and you get from the bridge the long camera. And from that perspective, which I'm sure we'll have in a second, you know, it looks like they could all be in the same postcode. They all look a lot closer than reality from that one.
Tune sitting 1.1 seconds back from McKellar. That's going to be critical because he's not going to get that draft benefit that we saw earlier on in the race. Darren Tune did with Nathan Burney, I think it was. No, sorry, it was Doyle, where he came from 7/10 back. So pointy end of the field, this is where we have been fighting for all season.
So to
Cam
round
Dance.
the championship out, Cam Dance slides it through the final corner at the Nordschleife to take the win. But behind him, John Schultz started 4th, running 2nd. He's going to grab the championship in Season 12 of Ozicar Skip Barber Series, narrowly defeating Cam Dance and Alex McKellar. Doyle, Clark to the line. Tim Harris and Nathan Verney side by side for the teammates. Is their championship going to end on a sour note? Neil Gardner's not far behind to pick up anything if it falls apart. Sometimes you can have a cheeky dive into the final corner, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be Harris from Verney 7th and 8th, Neil Gardner 9th, and Alex John didn't get the qualifying he wanted and then just spent the whole race in the mid-pack there. He's going to get 10th.
Yeah, I think our championship leader and potential winner, we've got to confirm it yet, but I think he knows exactly what he just achieved. A little bit of a wiggle there as he went across the line, but plenty of cars still out on track competing to finish their season out. This is 17, 18, 19 on track, Dobner, Lassou and Kerman. So bragging rights between these guys up for grabs. 2 teammates there in Darren Lassou jammed in the middle. So still a little way for these guys to go before they make their way to get the checkered flag. But anything could happen with these guys because separated by just over 1.1 seconds. So that draft could play effect in that last sector, and we could see a change for position. Dobner leading Lassou by over half a second. Craig Kerman there just 0.6 behind him again. So this is exactly what we were looking to see. Lassou just getting pulled along to the back of Dobner there. Is he going to make the dive out and make the pass? And it looks like right on cue. Swerves to the left-hand side. A little bit of a wiggle. But looks like he gets his nose in front to get that job done. Dobner pulls back from behind.
9 kilometers an hour of overspeed is what shot him back ahead. But then the moment you pull out of that slipstream, it all washes off. Guy behind pulls into the slipstream, and it'll be a great chance for Dobner to fight back. He'll have to do it on the brakes as well, though, side by side with Lassou. Kerman might be having a problem with fuel, the way he's dropped back a little bit there. And so deep into the corner, slides it out. Just defend the final corner. Defend the final corner, mate. Darren Lassou will just hold on to that one. Almost threw it into the Armco. Inches from the grass, inches from disaster.
Just highlighting the battles on track are just as important as what they were up the front. The mid-pack here in the Aussie Car Skip Barber quite often producing some of the best racing we do capture here on Simspeed TV. Last car, I think, out on tracks to get the checkered flag. This might be car 198.
We might still have Gregory Adams.
Around in the corner to see Barney vigorously waving that checkered flag. Gregory Adams still out there as well. Slipping back a couple of positions from where he started, as aerodynamic as you like.
How many kilometers an hour do you think he's missing in this configuration?
I'll go 11.
That's pretty close. It's about 10 or so. Which, of course, is a lot to be doing 185 instead of 195. He's got the right helmet on for that, though.
The front of the car is just as short as what the back of the car is. A little bit missing off the front, a little bit missing off the back. So what he loses in aerodynamics, he picks up in weight gain.
That's everyone to the finish line. The final race of Aussie Car Skip Barber Series Season 12. Cam Dance takes the win. It's not enough. John Schultz takes 2nd place and the championship. Alex McKellar will be 3rd on track and 3rd in the standings. Darren Tune, Sean Doyle, Russell Clark, Tim Harris, Nathan Verney, Neil Gardner and Alex John, the top 10 after 6 laps of the Green Hell.
Yeah, 50 minutes of action here tonight on Simspeed. 11th tonight, Vasco Zarowski a little bit further back down than what he probably would have liked. He has shown good speed this season, so hopefully he'll come back next season again and put a cat amongst the pigeons. Dennis Hancock and Matthew Harriott, 12 and 13, so good drive for Matthew Harriott. Jeremy Bush, Ash Knowles and John Snell make up 14, 15, 16. And then, of course, we focused on that little battle at the end with Darren Lasue getting loose as a goose in P17, Simon Dobner right on his tail, and Craig Kerman just rolling off the throttle there, 2 seconds behind that little group at the end of the race. Leon Williams made out our top 20.
I think we start to roll into retirement territory here. Brady Cook, actually 2 laps down, still holds on to 21st because Gregory Adams, he got back out on track. That's it a little bit later. And then retirements, Sean McKenzie, Ben Snell, and Ira Felberg, our illustrious race control. Ooh. Alex McKellar doesn't want to talk to us. Alrighty. Or maybe he's forgotten. So, let's grab then, by my maths, by Jay Kennedy's maths, by counting on our fingers, thumbs and toes, congratulations, Ozicar Skip Barber champion John Schultz.
Ole, 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 ole. Yeah! Mate, how do you win a championship without winning a race the whole season? I love it.
Consistency is the answer, I think.
Stay out of trouble, I suppose, right?
That's a tough thing to do. I've learnt that all my life. How'd you manage that then? 6 laps, compulsory pit stop at the Nordschleife. I thought we were only going to have half of the field finish this one, honestly, but everyone well behaved on their toes as well.
Yeah, there was some smart racing out there. For myself, I just tried to keep ahead of Alex and make sure I could keep on to Cam. That last lap, though, I can tell you this left leg was shaking pretty badly.
Well, you can ease the nerves however it suits your fancy now. Season 12 champion, as we say, it all has to come down to consistency and participation. And you got to that podium, you got to that top 5 many an occasion, particularly these endurance rounds, I felt like.
Yeah, I think I was in the top 5 for every race except one. So, I mean, the consistency was there. The points were on the offer. I tried to keep 0Xs as well and get those bonus points. And yeah, all paid off at the end.
Where is the prestige trophy gonna sit in the Schultz house?
Oh, mate, that's a very good question and one I didn't think about before now. So I'll have to find a place, shine it up nicely. I'll send photos, don't worry.
Yeah, no doubt.
Snuggled on the pillow between the bride and yourself.
That's not a bad idea. Threesome.
Well, congratulations.
It's an absolute pinnacle of a day when you make David Haynes short of a word or two. So good job tonight there, John.
Cheers, boys. And just a shout out to Team Milo or Team Otis that we are today. I think we took the team championship as well.
There you go. Congrats. And I don't think we're done seeing you in Aussie car competition, but you can take a little break and a little breather after this one. Congratulations.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
All right.
Very, very happy winner there. I don't think we've ever...
I feel like he'd already loosened up by the time he crossed that checkered flag as well. We've got the race winner, though, and Jason, I will let you have the honours.
So tonight, fantastic effort from Cam Dance. We see him on the screen at the moment. Absolute stellar way to end the season. And unofficial, but we're thinking with points on award tonight, you might have just clinched second in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have done it any better tonight. I mean, we did everything we possibly could to try and win the championship, and unfortunately we just came up short by a handful of points, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, it was a really, really good season all with the boys racing really, really hard and being some pretty good battles along the way, so can't complain too much, but yeah, just a little bit of a bummer to not quite finish it all off with a championship.
So fuel or pit strategy tonight obviously played a very important role, and you did pit out a sequence to a couple of cars around you, but as soon as you came out of the pits for that second part of the race tonight, you showed the speed and the confidence in the car that was second to none. and just while I think Sean Doyle stayed out, and who was the other one that was potentially late to pit? It might have been a championship leader in Schultz. So he managed to get that gap down and in the dying laps take the lead of the race and then just control it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't quite sure what Russell was going to do as far as paces. There was a couple of areas where he was actually not too bad for pace and was a little bit quicker than me, which I found a bit fascinating. But yeah, when he pitted, I kind of had to make the call. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen as far as draft or traffic or anything like that. So I was just playing it based on what he did and the fact that John passed me as well on the way down the Dotting-O on the lap I was going to pit. So that kind of helped as well to sort of not make it too obvious that I was going to pit on that lap. But yeah, I had plenty of pace. I've done plenty of laps around this track, and it's one of my favourites, especially in this car. So it's very much a confidence thing for me around here. I'm very comfortable with the car and the fact that it moves around a lot. So I very much enjoy it, and just one of those things. I actually didn't expect the fact that I was going to get fastest lap, to be honest, with the way that the draft and everything works here. But yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, head down, and of course I was going to mention that fastest lap getting awarded to you quite late in the race, but obviously doing exactly what you needed to secure the win tonight. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you back again next season for what will be another great Skip Barber battle, and hopefully you'll be right up amongst it again, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan. We'll see what happens. According to what Ira said, as far as hinting what the schedule's like, it's going to be interesting to see what the schedule may or may not look like. With the fact he's titled the season "Bad Luck," so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll look forward to it. I'll be back for sure and trying to get a third championship hopefully that time.
All right, race winner tonight, and potentially second in the championship. We still have to wait for that confirmation, but I'm sure Cam Dance will be happy either way, and he'll be taking that bit of good luck and some good speed and come back again next season and show these boys exactly what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, indeed. One last person to speak to today as we wrap up the championship for Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. And of course, before we do that, thanks Sim Racing Leagues, the Locked On iRacing podcast, and of course Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving. Makes so many of our competitors happy. Ira, congratulations on another season. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was. Well, I know I keep saying it every season, but the skippies just keep giving, don't they? That was another cracker there. I look forward to watching the broadcast back and listening to you guys' thoughts, but it was pretty close there, and I know Alex is probably not feeling too great at the moment, but really just that bit where Russell ducked into the pits there, he just kind of never really got on the back of them. So yeah, and look, well done to John. He obviously deserved to win, and as a promoter, it's a dream come true, to have it come down to be so close and have someone new win. And like I said, Alex is probably not feeling great, but we know he's a racer, and still, when he reflects, he'll realise second place, in that crowd's pretty good. And, it's kind of a weird feeling. I was just saying to Cam in the green room there before, it's like you make a league, for people to come and enjoy themselves, and it's a strange feeling when someone's kind of hurting a little bit. So, yeah, but look, it's good that it means a lot to him, and he'll be back, I'm sure.
A new champion, a first-time champion, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving don't need to. I think it's good when they don't need to put the same address on the trophy season after season.
For sure, there's no doubt having a new winner, as I just said to John in there before. And look, when it came down to it, he was the guy that ended up on the most points. So yeah, well done to him. And yeah, it's good obviously to have different winners and show that people can come in and do it, for sure.
What's in the future for Ozicar then? That's half the reason I think we've got you here. Turbo Touring Cars still with a couple of rounds left in their championship on Monday nights. What's without me having to skip to 95 minutes into a 2-hour podcast, what's coming up?
Yeah, no, actually I wasn't on the podcast this week. So yeah, basically, so the Thursdays we've got 3 weeks left before season 13, so we're going to run the F3s again, which is what we did last time. So I'll go through it real quick. So yeah, fixed setup, which will be baseline. So it was open setup last time, but I think we'll just go fixed. So 1 15-minute race and 1 30-minute race. Top 10 inverted for the second race. No pit stops. Just good racing. And for the tracks, so first round we're going to go to Okayama, full track. And Jay says, practice your pit stops, everybody. And then second round, okay, I found an oval, which I'm pretty excited about for the F3s. And you kind of, I don't know, a few people will be going, what? But yeah, just trust me, go have a drive and then you'll see why I picked it. But yeah, basically Iowa. So it's like a shorter oval with banking. I did a few AI races and a lot of testing and tested out a lot of ovals, and I'm really looking forward to that one because it's not like a super speedway. You can pass, you can move up, and yeah, that should be an interesting round. And then for the last round, we're going to go to Indianapolis on the MotoGP layout, just because I reckon Indy's such a good track, both those raid courses, and they don't get used enough. And same thing, I did a few laps, and yeah, they were awesome. So yeah, so
I
that's
happen to
pretty
be a
much
little
it.
biased in that department.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I heard that.
So again, from the top there, tell us about in the F3s, a short little season.
Yeah, so fixed setup, 1 15-minute, 1 30-minute race. I should say as well, it's free to enter, or like with this, last season I used a system I call like pay what you think it's worth. So you can enter for free up to a maximum of $10. If you really want to pay. And yeah, no pit stops, fixed setup, baseline, Okayama, Iowa oval round in the F3, and then Indy MotoGP layout.
Well, that will be very interesting. Look forward to that. Ira, any other thoughts? What else is coming up or in the future? How are you finding the touring cars?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting. The racings, started off a bit rough, as we know, and then the racing's come really good. So the numbers have dropped off a little bit, obviously, but it's kind of weird because they're in two splits. It looks worse than it is, like it's down to like 34 or something. So next season, we'll see how many entries we get, but I'd say there's a good chance everyone will probably just be in the same split. But look, we'll see. You never know. The interesting thing was, I did have a lot of people asking after the season started if they could enter, but unfortunately we have a rule where we don't take late entries, and that's part of the reason why it keeps the racing good, because you don't have people coming in halfway through and causing havoc. And unfortunately I was pretty spinning because there's a couple of really good names there, and hopefully those people just patiently wait and come back next season. So I would still like to do the two splits because some of the stuff that those drivers in the second split are learning, like Max Donnelly, I want to shout out to Max because there's been a lot of controversy this season on and off track, right, and I won't go into all of that, but kind of annoys me that we're not talking about Max Donnelly leading the Pro-Am, because when he came into Ozicar, me and him had a couple of frank conversations, like nothing rude, but I had to say to him, dude, you got to tidy this up. And look, I find 50% of the time, right, a lot of people don't take that well. Well, he did, and he went back and he ground it out, and now he's got a chance to feel some real pressure of what it's like to lead a championship going into a couple of rounds. Just ask Alex, and you just can't buy that kind of stuff. Part of what Ozicar is about is trying to make people better drivers. So yeah, my preference would be two races, but yeah, we'll see. We'll just have to see. And then look, in terms of other things, I was hoping to have some details. I've been working on something for a long time, and it's kind of coming together, and I just need the last bits of pieces to drop. But I can assure you, it's probably going to be the biggest thing that I've done on here yet. So I'm pretty excited about that, and obviously I hate kind of doing that, but yeah, I'll just throw the little teaser out there. There's always things happening obviously behind the scenes, and yeah, just real quick, I want to thank the sponsors. So simracingleagues.org, thanks Craig, Prestige Trophy and Badge as always, and Locked On Lads podcast. sponsoring the Road to 2K, and I'm not sure he got up there. I'll have to wait till Nathan posts the points. And yeah, just last shout out, just real quickly, to Nathan for being official scorer this season and giving up a fair bit of time to do that, so I can concentrate on other things. And then yeah, and that's about it. And just shout out to Jay as well, and I want to thank you guys for doing an awesome job. The skippies are just, you know, the whole team now. It's like 6 or 7 of us, but yeah, it's just come together. And the racing, the commentary, like I couldn't tell you, like not a season goes by where I don't get messages saying like wow kind of thing. So yeah, just thanks again everyone for another awesome season, and thanks Jay for letting me run over again tonight.
Well, thank you, Ira. That brings to an end season for Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. It will be back, not immediately, but keep an eye on all the regular places on the Facebook, on the website. See what's coming up for Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series and Ozicar generally. Once again, a new champion in this discipline. John Schultz takes his first championship win in Ozicar with the Season 12 Formula Skip Barber Series. Forward to seeing you again for more on Simspeed TV, including on Monday night with 2 more rounds still to go in the Turbo Touring Cars. 2 divisions still to watch there and plenty of good racing. Make sure you're following us on Simspeed TV, wherever you're watching, on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube. We'll see you again soon. I've been David Haynes with Jason Fewens, with Jay Kennedy. Good night.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?